Hey guys, what's up? This is Bharat, you're watching iGyaan, and today we're going to be reviewing the newly launched Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1. Let's quickly get started. Now, the Asus Zenfone Max Pro has been launched in India, and if you want more details on pricing, availability, and how you can get your hands on one, I'll leave links for all of that in the description below so you can go ahead and check those out. To begin with, the design of the Asus Zenfone Max Pro is quite familiar. In fact, we've seen the exact same design with the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5 Pro. You've got the vertical layout for the camera orientation, the dual camera setup on the back, and the fingerprint sensor sitting just above the logo. On the front, you do have an 18:9 aspect ratio display, which is fantastic and really nice and vivid outdoors. We'll talk about that in just a minute. The edges and the corners of the phone are nice and rounded off, so you won't have any sharp things touching or hurting your fingers. The phone is comfortable to hold even for long periods of time. The back panel is of a soft touch matte finish in this black color variant that we have, and it really feels nice and premium in the hand. So overall, as far as build quality is concerned, this phone is extremely well made, and the metal unibody frame will allow it to be durable for extended periods of time. The front glass does have a 2.5D curvature, and it does have an oleophobic coating. It is quite resilient to scratches, but I would recommend getting a screen protector to make sure that your display lasts for a really long time. You do have really nice access to all your ports, a 3.5mm headphone jack at the bottom, loudspeaker which is really nice and loud. You would thoroughly enjoy using it, and the fact that it has a dedicated slot for 2 SIM cards and 1 micro SD card, that means that you're not compromising on either a SIM card or a micro SD card, so you can pop in all three together. The display on the phone is a 5.99-inch 2160 by 1080 pixel display with a good amount of brightness and contrast and excellent viewing angles. It is an LCD display, so that makes it easier to view from all areas, and it is nicely viewable indoors as well as outdoors. Like I mentioned, the screen does have an oleophobic coating, so it's relatively smudge and oil free, so even if you're using this phone continuously, you won't find yourself wiping it too much. The phone is running Android 8.1 out of the box, and like I mentioned in the unboxing video, the initial test OS that we'd gotten, the test software that we'd gotten preloaded on this device, was a little glitchy, but since then the company has pushed out a couple of software updates that not only fix some of the glitches that we had with the camera, but have made the overall UI quite responsive and quite more fast. Even in benchmarks, we saw a good resolve on both Antutu as well as Geekbench. After the software update, we found slight improvements on these benchmarks. Day-to-day usage on the phone is also pretty impressive, and you'll not find any issues using this device for extended periods of time. We found also that the network capability and phone call capability is good. The microphone and the earpiece are nice and loud, and you do get a good amount of noise cancellation for your audio. So if you're in noisy environments, the person on the other side will be easily able to hear you. For the most part, the user interface is quite stock, but you do have certain customizations like allowing you to change the color of the display, a night mode, so to speak. You also have some gestures that you can get going, so a double tap to lock the screen or a double tap to unlock the screen, and then you can also draw on the screen to launch applications directly from the phone being locked. These are things that you can customize and create as per your requirements. So if there is a particular app that you use frequently, like Instagram, you can have a gesture for that directly from the lock screen so that you can launch it directly from the lock screen. While you don't get customizations as thorough as, say, a Xiaomi phone, there are several opportunities because the device is running stock Android, so you can download third-party applications and softwares that allow you to do similar things, if not the exact same thing. For the most part, the phone lives up to a stock Android user experience. Now, after the software update, like I mentioned, the camera user interface has also been fixed quite a lot. So you don't have that glitchy switching around camera that we got with the original software. So now you do get a standard 13 megapixel setup at the back with a depth sensor. And then I can also jump into video and get 4K video recording directly from this camera application. I continue to get lots of shooting options, including portrait modes, sports modes, and nature modes. And I also get a beauty mode, a depth effect, and also some certain visual effects or filters that you can pre-install and preview before you capture images. Images for the most part are really nice, and sharp focus is really fast and on point, and you get good amount of colors and saturation on your images. You'll thoroughly enjoy using this camera, especially the portrait mode. It works really well on human and non-human subjects as well. So all in all, a pretty good camera experience. For the video recording capability, you do get 4K DCI format, which is excellent, but on 4K you do not get image stabilization. And if you want to use a more usable video format, 1080p will give you image stabilization, and it works really well. So at 1080p you can get a really nice and smooth video from this device. The front camera gives you 8 megapixel shots. The front lens is quite wide and will get you a lot in the capture, so you'll be able to capture a whole lot of detail and information in your image. But you also get the ability to record 1080 video with the front camera, and then you continue to get your shooting modes, including an HDR, portrait mode, etc. for the front camera. And then you also have things like filters, a beauty mode that you can also customize according to your requirements. So all of these features are now fixed and work really well on the camera. The camera does capture a good amount of detail in the front as well, so you'll get good shots from the rear as well as the front camera on this device. Now the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 has a 5000 mAh battery but retains the same weight as the Redmi Note 5 Pro, which has a 4000 mAh battery. So does this mean that they use lesser quality materials? I'm not too sure of that, but they did manage to maintain the weight, which is great. The battery will literally last you for 2 days, if not more, depending on your kind of usage. Easily get 6 to 7 hours of screen on time for things like gaming and video playback, which is excellent. The phone is running a 636 chipset, available in two options, a 3GB or a 4GB. The 3GB comes with 32GB of onboard storage, whereas the 4GB comes with 64GB of onboard storage. Like I mentioned, you do get updated to the latest OS, and we already got a couple of updates. Since we unboxed this device, the phone is running Android 8.1. It is stock Android OS, but you do have some flavor of Zen UI on it, including the camera application and certain other tweaks. A new software update has allowed me to switch the home screen to landscape, an option which was not earlier present. So here are a couple of things I don't like about the phone. I think that the charging time is quite a lot, so it takes about 2 hours and sometimes more to fully charge up the device, which is not the fastest charging that we found in this price bracket. 4K video from the camera is not the best quality, even though it is in DCI format. I wouldn't recommend using 4K video. Maybe they need to make some more changes and tweaks into the 4K video to get a better result. Another thing I am not very happy about is the audio output from the headphone jack. Again, granted, it's a software thing, can be tweaked, and the amp in there can be boosted up to give you a better output from the audio 3.5mm headphone jack, but we are not getting the best audio and it seems quite low. But apart from that, the phone seems to manage and deliver in all aspects, especially the design. If you're looking for the Redmi Note 5 Pro but don't want to go through the whole flash sale format, the Zenfone Max Pro seems to be a really good alternative, and in some areas, including the stock Android, for those who like stock Android, and for the fact that it has a larger 5000 mAh battery and dedicated slots for SIM card as well as the micro SD card, are three great plus points. And one of the biggest plus points, that you don't need to stand in a flash sale or wait in a flash sale to get hands on the Zenfone Max Pro. Will definitely make some people happy. If you have any questions or queries about this phone, do let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to iGyaan for more such reviews. This has been Bharat Nagpal. I will see you guys in the next one.